Victor
Abi Amiri, Nigerian descent. Abi Amiri.
Abi Amiri.
Abi Amiri.
Okay,
Yeah,
Abi Amiri. Abi Amiri.
Abi Amiri. Victor Abi Amiri. It's all right.
No, it's
you
all
wouldn't be. You wouldn't be the first one to, if you were to mispronounce it. Abi Amiri. You see there's a lot of eyes. There's a lot of eyes.
It's smooth. I feel like I'm gonna get it right.
You're gonna get it right.
You know what I mean?
I believe in you. I believe in you. And if not, all good, man.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, sir. And a lineman. You feel me? I also played O-line.
Absolutely.
You feel me? Would you play D tackle or DN?
DN. So when we went our third down, they bumped me inside. So we had four pass rushers on the field.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, love the grind, love the experience. And what I tell a lot of guys is, you grind in a different way once after sport.
Yeah.
Right. You don't lose that, even if your body doesn't quite keep up with playing professional football. Your mind and your heart and your passion, your soul. You've got these things that you want to continue to do: the teamwork, the building, the grinding with others to build something or work towards something that's greater than yourself, right? So I've been able to channel that into my day-to-day, my career, my next steps.
So what's your career focus right now?
I'm a private client portfolio manager. I work with individuals, families, entrepreneurs, business owners, endowments, foundations to manage their investment portfolio. So private wealth advising. I've been at the same firm for about 13 years, right? So when I retired from Philadelphia in 2012, I went back to school, got my MBA at Drexel up in Philadelphia, and then, quickly moved back to Baltimore, which is home, to start working at my current firm called Brown Advisory. Brown Advisory is a private, independently owned RIA, the largest office in Baltimore, where we've got 20, 25 offices globally, and just focus on helping people, right?
Okay.
To me, it was important as I made the transition to really match what I was interested in with my intellectual curiosity. So did my undergrad study in finance, right? So I was naturally curious, right? As I got drafted and I wanted to be smart with my investments, I was intellectually curious. Then I channeled that once I was finished playing into my career, right? And, I started off at my current role as an analyst, and worked my way up to an advisor as I, grew my book of business and really, wanted to serve. I think, to me, what really drew me and attracted me to my current firm is the fact that it's private, it's independently owned, and every colleague is an equity owner in the business. So an important part of our conversation is equity in the business, which if you've played competitive team sports, and that is what drives you, that's an environment that you thrive in. To me, that natural alignment of, hey, everybody that comes to work every day and grinds and does the best for their clients has a piece of ownership and accountability in the business, right? So, to me, that teamwork, that collaboration, that everybody in it together that's working to do their best for clients, which ultimately results in the greater good of us as teammates and colleagues, that creates a certain type of culture that I know I can thrive and be successful in long term.
What have your beliefs been about wealth?
That's great. That's a great question. I can go deep here.
Yeah, go all the way in. We're going all the way in.
So to take it back even earlier in my childhood, right? So my parents are immigrants from this country, from Nigeria, that came to this country in the late 70s. So we didn't grow up with much, right? We didn't grow up. I got two older brothers, immigrant mentality, right? America's a land of opportunity, right? So anything that we got or was in front of us was really driven by what we were able to do and create for ourselves, right? And kind of going up through, I went to Gilman School in Baltimore, private school. My kids go there. I'm on the board there. To me, I really didn't look like a lot of my peers and my classmates. So I was surrounded by, families and classmates that grew up in an environment where they were exposed to wealth and assets and things where I wasn't, right? It was different, right? My parents, God bless them, they're still with us today. They made sure that we had everything that we had, but there was always me as I sat alongside my peers, right? An understanding of, hey, there's a bigger world out there. So I was initially interested in getting a better understanding of that. I was fortunate enough as well in high school to have really strong mentorship. My high school coach, he was independently wealthy in the investment management business. So he was like, hey, this is something that you need to be aware of and you need to know. Financial literacy isn't really taught in our schools, as you mentioned, right? So, it was something that I was exposed to early on as a pathway of what my peers do or are exposed to. So it created an interest early on. I actually interned for my high school coach back in high school a couple summers, and back then he had me researching individual stock reports. So I understood, all right, well, I remember Coca-Cola, Microsoft, and Intel were the first stock reports that I did to really understand how do you just grow wealth and what do quote unquote rich or wealthy people do. But there it gave me exposure and it planted the seed of a better grasp and understanding of, hey, there are pathways here. Carry that forward into college, right? I didn't define myself as just an athlete. I was a student athlete. So while a lot of my teammates, we were all there working out, a lot of my classmates in school, they were all going on, getting internships, working on Wall Street, or doing things to continue to better themselves career-wise. So to me, I was like, all right, I didn't define myself as just an athlete, right? So that led me to be intellectually curious, to intern at other shops, and I actually interned at Brown Advisors, my current firm, back when I was in college. So the seed was planted early on about, hey, one, I had the intellectual curiosity because I said, hey, me too. Why not me?
Facts.
I asked that question early on.
Facts.
And then secondly, I had mentors and support system to say, hey, like, you should be doing this. And then three, it was like, hey, when I was in college, I was curious. I wanted to, I didn't want to, it was almost like FOMO because I was a finance major. I was and all my finance major classmates were all doing these internships, even though I couldn't do the whole summer because I had to go be back on campus for summer workouts and things. I still made sure that I carved out the time to be able to give myself exposure to those things, which full circle, I've created a career at the same firm that I interned at.
Wow.
All the while. So to me, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
What I love about PAC in the time we've all been spending together is we all have the opportunity to create the lives that we want for ourselves. It won't always be, perfect. It won't always be transparent. You and me not always see the light at the end of the tunnel. But if you continue to work and put yourself in position to be successful and have exposure to things that improve yourself, make yourself better, helps you build your network, that is in your control, and ultimately it compounds over time, which it has for me.
But what would you find from the most elite people that you work with or the wealthiest people that you work with? What are the behaviors that you've noticed that allowed them to gain their wealth or look like they're going to go on the trajectory of wealth?
You mean on the people that have followed the careers or for the clients that have accumulated
More
wealth?
the clients, the people that look to find you to say, all right, I'm trying to build and grow.
Oh, that's great. A great question. It varies. And that's why I love the business I'm in because, there's a left brain, right brain aspect of it where, right, like I've got the intellectual curiosity of the markets and investing and really understanding how the world works to be able to have exposure to transformative things that will continue to grow and to be able to put those puzzle pieces together to build portfolios for clients. So that's one aspect of it that I enjoy. But then there's the other aspect of working with the clients, right? Understanding the human side of it, the service side of it, right? The purpose side of it of, hey, a client comes to you with, to your point, they may be independently wealthy where they built their business on their own from the ground up. And I respect the hell out of that, right? As an athlete, your business is you, how you perform on the field, right? So I naturally resonate with a lot of the business owners, entrepreneurs, founders that are maniacal about building their business from the ground up, and that's how they created their wealth, right? So they tend to have a, more higher risk level, tolerance for risk, because that's how they got there, right? You've got other, clients in which I've been blessed to be able to be exposed to that, they had, they probably weren't part of the generation that created the wealth, but they've taken a position of stewardship, right? Of, hey, the patriarch, matriarch has really created this on behalf of us, so we don't have to. How can I be a good steward of these assets for myself, my family, and future generations, right? How do I, how can I partner with you, Victor and Brown Advisory, in a way to help me educate my, my family members, my kids, expose us to, the different things, so we have an awareness of how this wealth was created, so we can be good stewards of what we're doing, right? I think it runs the gamut, but that all funnels back to, it doesn't matter, what your background is or how you got there, which is what I love about my job, right? And what makes, it interesting to me, or, anyone that's played team sports, that you have to find common ground with your clients or with your colleagues and have something that you both can build on together, that it's a partnership, it's a relationship. We don't view ourselves as just service providers, right? Because, even though we sit on the same side of the table as our clients, right, we do all the things that we can to put together a plan, a framework that we think will work over the long term, right? And then we have to have enough humility throughout that process to, refine along the way, acknowledge where, if we've made a wrong decision, course correct, but making sure that we're on the same, the clients acknowledge that we're on the same side of the table with an alignment of incentives that we want you to win just as much as, you want us to be successful.
And the common thing that I'm hearing is that they're open to figuring out how to be better with their wealth or whatever they have acquired. They're just open to, I'm trying to get, they may have a goal. I love the fact that you're talking about stewardship, because a lot of that is happening, especially with the transition from baby boomers down to their kids. And some people don't really know how to handle their money. I've been a culprit of that very much in my life, to where I've very mishandled my money. And so if you were to talk to somebody that has had really hard encounters and had a difficult time in managing wealth, what are the first few things that you feel like they should do? Or
that's a good question, right? I would say, it's never too late to start, right? It's better to start early, right? But we find ourselves to be better partners with, folks that I mentioned before are intellectually curious. They want to know the thinking why, because they want to educate themselves. Hey, you made it. Don't just take what we say as, as it and not pay attention. You should take, our recommendations or kind of the thought process and ask questions. Hey, you made this decision. Why? And it's a conversation. It's a partnership, right? I think that in it you can't. There's so much that can be accounted for with the intellectual curiosity aspect of it. Of people want to know and want to learn about wealth and growing their money. Like people want that knowledge. So the more people can ask and play an active role versus a passive role, I think it's helpful. I do think that financial literacy isn't we don't talk about it enough early on, right? In our schools, just in our environment, in our world on a day-to-day anyway. So, I think people naturally, more so than they probably have to like seek it out as opposed to, receiving it. I would also say that, it's a journey. It takes a while. You've got to have a long-term mindset, right? Wow. There's no get rich quick, pill or scheme of how can I just, all of a sudden, in a very short period of time. It's possible, but that's not. There's not. Every investment opportunity comes with a certain level of risk. So, right, as long as you have a long-term mindset and understanding that, hey, you want to put the framework and the building blocks into place to make sure that you are healthy financially in various aspects of your life, whether that's understanding of your basic spending and budgeting, right? Like that's adjacent but separate from investing, right? Like, you got to get your own house in order, your credit score, not spending more than you earn, right? To be able to say, all right, my income's at a level to the point where I have surplus to be able to think longer term about, right? I think a lot of that is all interconnected and what we try to help guide and coach our clients about throughout.
We know that the world is changing
Yeah.
in front of us. A lot of crazy things are happening right now. The world is at war, or United States is at war. If we can predict or see where the money's going, we can probably see where the world is going. And you being in this field,
Yes.
do you have any insights or any ideas, and then this is, this doesn't have to be financial advice.
Yeah.
Or
I
anything,
can.
but where
Go
do you
ahead.
feel like the money is going? Where do you feel like the money's going and then the world?
Well, I mean, I think if you haven't heard about what's going on in innovation within artificial intelligence, obviously you're living under a rock because that's a very real technological innovation that will impact our lives, how we work, how we interact with each other in the world, right? So, there's a lot of enthusiasm, rightfully so, about investing in the technological ability of artificial intelligence, which will completely, it's impacted how, my efficiency, us as a firm, we're utilizing it in the day-to-day. And what's so interesting about that is the pace of change is unlike what we've ever seen.
It's unbelievable. It's going too fast.
So, I'm probably, that's probably not a novel idea, but that's an area where, I think if you're not, exposed, investment related or not, I think that's something that, is something that folks need to be having awareness of.
And those companies are NVIDIA.
On the public
companies?
side,
Gotcha.
NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, they call them the hyperscalers, right? That are the large companies with the resources and the balance sheets to be able to invest in this technology, which is expensive, right? It costs a lot of money, power, resources to be able to continue to innovate at the pace that it has thus far. So a lot of these companies are investing heavily in it. So you follow the money, right? I think adjacent to that, right, are what we call in our business the picks and shovels that support the technology, right? So if we think about the energy power demands of the technology, right, whether that's energy infrastructure or different types of renewable power generation technologies, nuclear, et cetera, right? Those are all different areas that aren't specifically technology, AI, but are part of the ecosystem supporting that directly, right? So I think there's a lot behind it, right? And then
I just want to, I think it's a beautiful point just to kind of pause at how much game that he just gave. He's saying that you looked at the shiny object, which is AI, but then you also look at the things that are supporting it. And then those things, if the main driver is the AI, that's the one in the driver's seat, you got to know what are the things that are helping that thing drive.
Data centers, so if you think about the real estate behind the data centers that house all the mainframes that can, store all the power, the memory that's required to run these large language models, right? That's an area that you want to at least, participate in, right? Again, not specific to any names or companies or anything, but if you think about the innovation behind it, right? If you can go back to, people liken it to the creation of railroads, and railroads, you could transport goods quicker, made us more efficient. People talk about the internet, right? It democratized information, so where anywhere in the world you share information, right? I think, AI, as it continues to evolve, right, there's the technology itself, but the supporting technologies around it, right? So at the same time, right, our obligation on behalf of our clients is to manage risk too, right? So, right, while AI has been phenomenal, and we think it has legs, and we think that it is a transformative technology, as stewards, right, we got to balance the risk of too much concentration in one area of the other with what our obligation to our clients is to achieve their goals, right? Like, hey man, like, some of our clients, right, we get to a meeting and it's less about the numbers on the page, but it's more about, hey, you got retirement coming up. All right, what does that look like? How do we support you, right? You're about to sell your business. All right, what does life after the business sale look like for you? Or, right, you want to, your kids are getting married, right? Like, you want to, pay for the wedding and do all the things and achieve whatever your goals are. That's most important, right? There's one thing that we want to maximize return always, right? I think that's one benchmark in how we're evaluated. But to me, the human and relationship aspect of it, back to the partnership and collaboration, like, how can we work together to make sure that we're both winning together? And that winning is defined by us coming up with a plan together. Our CEOs, we got co-CEOs, they focus on, listening, right? The skill of listening, right? To be able to sit down and really be a good listener, ask good questions, understand, hey, yeah, we know and we've got ideas and thoughts. Clients are paying us for our advice to be able to invest, right? But then we're also, it's important for us to be able to ask the question that they may not think to ask, or to plan around things that we maybe have seen in other client situations that they should be aware of, right? And a lot of our clients ask us, hey, well, what do other folks in our situation do? So we're very much thought partners alongside of our clients in different ways, and as much as we can do to be helpful in thinking through not just, hey, where are the opportunities, but where are the risks, and how do we plan around the risks associated with that is really essential into our processes and how we serve our clients.
Absolutely. Where do you look if you're trying to find better information to reach your goals? Where are there places to look? What are the opportunities that are here and the resources that are here for you? Are there any daily exercises that you would suggest for them to just increase their acumen on wealth management, or understanding more about acquiring what they want, whether it be assets, whether it be more money or anything? Is there any daily exercises that will allow them to reach their goals faster or even get to where they want to be?
Yeah, it's a great question. So our interns ask this every summer, and we oftentimes, our interns, we come in, we have rising seniors come in, spend summers with us, and they're great. They're a breath of fresh air. They bring new perspective to us, just like we bring to them, right? And they ask similar questions, and oftentimes, so usually they've got background, right, in finance, so it's less them, hearing about it or learning about it for the first time, but they're still early, right?
Yeah.
So just get in the habit of paying attention on, reading the Wall Street Journal. I'll give them some or news flow to understand what's happening in terms of our world events, right? Understanding what's going on and what's driving things in the markets, one way or the other. What's actually new to my answer now than it would have been like 6 months ago or a year ago was, right, AI has really democratized intelligence, right? Whereas the internet democratized information, AI has democratized intelligence. So if you're really intellectually curious, right, you can get into one of these, either ChatGPT or whatever AI model that you have now. You can't believe everything that you consume from these models, but if you're really to look into getting smarter on a particular topic or subject that you read, paired in your daily consumption of investment thought leadership, right? Using that as hey, I read in this article XYZ is happening. What does this mean bigger picture, right? I think that combination early on, or at any age, I'll still do it today. Of like, hey, if I get a question that's not quite in my wheelhouse, and I want to get smarter on it, that's an approach that I use to get smarter and just be more well informed to help me better, prepare and be helpful to our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, where do you see crypto in this, new world that we're going to go in? And is it a taboo thing within wealth management? Is it something that you guys talk about? And if it is taboo, why?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's taboo. Right? I think it's been, we as a firm don't, have any like firm recommendations or guidance on specifically crypto across portfolios, but it is been more universally accepted as an asset class more broadly that, people, if they're looking for differentiation to digital assets, it's out there and it's not going away. It's not taboo anymore. I think, particularly as we think about those kind of transformative technologies, we look at it or think more so about the blockchain technology supporting cryptocurrency more as something where you can understand what the fundamental impact on a company or business is going to be through blockchain technology. Crypto, right? It's harder to have a fundamental thesis around cryptocurrency as an asset class more specifically versus what folks are willing to pay for it. But it's here to stay, and it's something that people should be aware of.
Yes, sir. Man, Victor, thank you so much for coming on the Athletic Money University podcast. I think you're a perfect guest for the insights and the value that is going to help whoever's watching this to know what it takes to build wealth and the assets and the resources that they have advantage to. And then being a former offense or defensive lineman, I was an offensive lineman, we was probably beefing.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
But just to know if you're offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and then you're looking to do something after football, there's so many opportunities that you could do. And I want people to see that people that look just like you, act like you, talk like you, can achieve anything. It doesn't matter what's in your horizon. So how can they find you? And then, what are some mediums for you to offer your services?
Absolutely. My name is Victor Abiamiri, last name spelled Abiamiri. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, first name, last name, and Instagram. You can find me on all those social media platforms. You can go to the Brown Advisory website to learn more about our firm. That's www.brownadvisory.com. Learn more about the firm and what we do more broadly. I really think about, my role is I'm a servant, right? So, serving my colleagues, serving my clients, and to me, using my best skills, my talent, abilities to be helpful to others, because I know there were so many people that were helpful to me in my life, in my path to get to where I'm at. And, all I want to do is pay it forward.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you. And then hopefully we can pay it forward to some linemen, man.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we can start like a lineman financial group. Only linemen allowed.
There you go.
There you go. Get us right. Build the wealth.
Yeah, man.
I think linemen are the type of archetype of people, just because of how we've been bred and what we've had to go through, we're bound to be great leaders.
Absolutely.
I think that president should be an offensive, defensive lineman.
I could not agree more.
We just represent the country in such a great way.
You work together, I think football is the ultimate team sport,
yes,
linemen
sir.
especially. I could not agree more.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, man.
Let's start a campaign.
Let's do it.
Thank you, man.
Well,